Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
Well, we are not short of anything to talk about today on this Monday, as the Vols have one of their best Sundays in recent memories in Tennessee football recruiting. We will break that down. Also have the play of the day, our poll question as well, with Amanda LaFratta and Ethan Stone. I'm Dave Hooker. Guys, a lot going on, and we encourage you to participate. So we have produced podcasts at this point. We're live streaming. So go ahead and get on board your Twitter, your Facebook. We would love to hear your responses, your questions. What do you want to talk about moving forward, in particular, Tennessee football recruiting? And Ethan, there's no other word to describe what Tennessee did on Sunday, and you provided some, I thought, good perspective. Please like and subscribe to this podcast if you enjoy coverage about Tennessee football. We would appreciate that, and you'll get free sneak peeks on YouTube. But you put it in good perspective. You know, we all want to talk about the five-star guy, but there's another three-star fundamental guy who Tennessee, I was told, identified early and is probably a little better than his three-star ranking. I was told that last night. So it was just a really, really big Sunday for the Vols, guys. Ethan, let me start with you. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I am doing well, and I think it's a little not unfortunate for Smith that he's going to get drowned by Davion Bradley, obviously the headline of the day yesterday. But Smith is a great player, a fringe 3-4-star guy that by a lot of metrics is rated as a high 3-star. Tennessee's highest rated linebacker prospect in the 2023 class as of right now, obviously joining Jeremiah Tellender and Will Stallings, who was originally listed as a running back, and I believe works better as a linebacker in a way just because of his build. But I'm really excited to see what Jalen Smith brings to the team, as well as obviously Bradley going along with Caleb Herring to knock out a 2 top 10 edge rushers in the country for the 2023 cycle. That's always a good thing, especially when you're trying to rebuild a defense as Tennessee is right now.
Here's the thing we got to remember too, Amanda, and I hope you're doing well this morning. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I was waiting on that.
Great. So the other thing, and I made this comparison, it's a bit of a reach, I will admit that, but I think there are probably 20 prospects in this class that could have success at quarterback for Tennessee, because I think it's a very quarterback-friendly system. So when we start talking about Davion Bradley, another 5-star, he's not going to elicit the same amount of excitement as Nico is, because Nico committed early. Nico helped build the class. Nico's a quarterback. Nico's a 5-star. So you're not going to see Bradley get the same sort of reaction and excitement. However, if he is the best player at his position in the SEC, it could have a monstrous impact. I look at Alabama. I think there are about 20 quarterbacks, at least 10 in Alabama system that have success there. Bryce Young did in his first year. Other quarterbacks have and gone on in the NFL and struggled. Who would you take between the two, Bryce Young or Will Anderson, the edge defensive end / linebacker? I mean, I'm taking Will Anderson. I'm not saying that's going to be the case 2 years from now with Tennessee, but the 5-star edge rusher, for people that know football, it's closer to quarterback than you would think, if that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Ethan.
Go ahead.
I would take Will Anderson as well, because it's just like when I talk about my fantasy football team, and I know you love that. But in the second round, I always take a tight end, because there are not as many tight ends out there, like elite tight ends, as there are quarterbacks or running backs. So it's the thing with Will Anderson. That is like a key role in your defense. That's how it goes. And there's not as many Will Andersons out there. There's actually none, as there are, quarterbacks that can play the game.
We need to start the inaugural Off the Hook Sports Fantasy League. And I want it to be under different parameters. I want, for one, this not to be like a snobby Knoxville News Sentinel thing where it's just the guys that work with the paper. I want it to be listener involved. I want it to be those that enjoy the site. And I want, if you can, not as if I don't pile enough work on Amanda, but if you can find a format that would include some sort of defense, because I've always wanted to do that. And I'll go a step further. College football. I've always thought that would be cool. Like if you get, like I used to say, if you get to go in and you say, I'm running the wing T offense or I'm running the spread offense. So I get 3 running backs as opposed to 4 wide receivers, or vice versa. So you really don't have that anymore. But there has to be a way we could do an SEC or a college football, fantasy football.
Well, that exists.
Okay, so you can pull that off?
FYI. Well, college football fantasy, like college fantasy football exists. So we could try to figure out a way, but you can't really have more than like 12 teams because there's not.
Yeah.
Well,
so the first 12. So if you want to be
college.
involved and you're on Facebook or Twitter, reach out to us. Also, I've been considering something else, guys, because one of the exciting things about this project, and I think that you guys would agree, is the engagement with fans. So I've considered opening up my DMs and seeing what Ethan's laughing. Ethan knows. Ethan knows that 1 in 4 are going to be Dave, you fat, stupid, redheaded idiot. I mean,
you go right ahead.
So what is? Okay, so Ethan's saying bad idea. I'm 60-40, good idea.
Not a bad idea. It's just you have to understand what's about to happen.
I'm 80-20. Go.
Yeah, it's not
Open them up.
by any means.
Or as Dave does, maybe somebody will slip into your DMs. That's
yes.
what David says. Not slide, slip.
Slip. Oh, slip.
Mm-hmm.
So they stumble and fall into your DM.
Pretty much is how David puts it.
Oh, I don't think he has that term right.
No, he doesn't. There's a lot of terms he doesn't have right.
Slip into your slip and slide into your DMs. Well, I'm going to open that up and we're going to have some fun with that. If I get called an idiot, it hurts my feelings too often, then I'll probably close them. But it's I want this fantasy football team because I will say this, that we're not going to spend a lot of time on it because Ethan, do you know the most exciting thing in for you to talk about as a person to other people? The most exciting thing, even more than your pending marriage, your pending children, all of that. You know the most exciting thing?
Are you talking the most I like to, or the most you are about to put on to me?
You like to. Just
I mean,
it was
I
everybody.
like talking to people about college basketball.
Well, with most people, it's their fantasy football team. And you know the one
I was going to say, where are you going with this? Because I'm different than most people.
The one thing you don't want to hear about is somebody's fantasy football team. When somebody starts that, you just I glaze over.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, oh, but we'll have some fun with that. I'll keep you updated. So
it's like
if
your
you want
kids. Nobody wants to
like
talk about your. No, I don't want to hear about your kids.
I've told you stories about my kids.
Yes, but I'm saying when people don't have kids, or even when people do have kids, like you go to a party or something, the last thing you want to hear about is somebody's kids. Be honest.
Well, I didn't know that. I'll tell you what you want to hear about.
I never really cared that much either.
It's Vols Automotive. Vols Automotive wants to hear about your kids and wants to hear about how they can put you in a fantastic vehicle there at Vols Automotive. Right there on Callahan. It's all about integrity. That's Vols Automotive. We absolutely love them. Centrally located on Callahan, right off the interstate. So I don't care if you're in South Knoxville, West Knoxville, wherever. If you want integrity, if you want a great selection, it's Vols Automotive Group. So, guys, some more news besides just Tennessee football recruiting hitting the wire, as we used to say back in the 1990s. And do want to mention, though, quickly, and if you want to read about him on offthehooksports.com, Lucas Simmons is set to announce at 1 o'clock today. Ethan, I've heard Florida State the whole time, but a source told me, he said, don't rule out Tennessee. They made a strong push over the past couple of weeks. So what does that mean? That probably means he's still going to end up at Florida State, but it does also mean that in this fall, if Florida State struggles, and he has picked them, and Tennessee's looking good, that these are non-binding. So this is one of those that I kind of put on my pegboard as I'm going to keep an eye on no matter what he does today.
Yeah, it's non-binding until December. That's true. I've heard the same stuff about Florida State mostly being the lean here, but Tennessee, you can't negate what Tennessee has done in the past couple weeks, and that's at this point, I feel like that's major momentum for the Vols. They've gotten everybody they've wanted to the past couple. I mean, you got Davion Bradley, you got Jalen Smith, Shamu Marov. I could keep naming guys. They just keep getting them. So there's nothing to tell me that Josh Heupel and company has, of the moment, Glenn Alarby, the offensive line coach, that they're going to be stopping right now. I would think Lucas Simmons right now, you would think Tennessee would be right there with Florida State. I believe Florida, some of the other ones that are pushing for him, obviously. But it's going to be interesting to see. 1 o'clock today is obviously when he's committing, so we will see.
I've been told that Florida and Southern California are in the trail position behind Tennessee and Florida State. But, we'll see. He's a young man, and he's one of those young men that has kept somewhat quiet. So you really don't know with those guys exactly what they're going to do. But, Amanda, if we're looking back on Tennessee football, and let's say that July the 4th decision had gone just a little bit different with Francis Mauigoa, you're looking at, and I've covered Tennessee football since 2005, you're looking at one of the best weeks, top 5 at least, that I can remember since that time. If you add Francis, and it's really up there anyway. But Tennessee's on a heck of a roll. And as I tweeted to Ethan yesterday, I love the mix of foundational, functional players that can come in and play. And then you add some war daddies. You add some of those 4 or 5-star guys. You don't like the term war daddy?
War daddies.
It's a coaching term. You got your war daddies, you got your players, and you got your donkeys. It's one of the 3.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. You don't want a donkey.
I don't necessarily want a war daddy. Doesn't sound
good. You do. Will Anderson is a war daddy.
Okay,
he's a guy he's a guy who's going to change the game. Ethan's smiling.
Elite talent is what you want. Elite talent. But why do we gotta call them war daddies?
I don't know. I just picked that up for some coach.
So terrible. So terrible. But if I were Tennessee, I think I would be much happier where I'm sitting versus if I were Florida State at this point.
No, I agree. I agree. I think that Tennessee's in great shape. I want to get to some news from the weekend brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Vassy Lawn and Garden Toro, count on it, in beautiful Cleveland. Edgers, trimmers, the Toro mowers, they've got it all right there. Man alive, it's worth the drive at Vassy Lawn and Garden. So don't want to get too incredibly political, but unvaccinated Novak Djokovic won't play in the U.S. Open. He announced that. He had won all 3 of the first majors in 2021. His bid for the calendar Grand Slam, which nobody's done that I'm aware of in my lifetime, even in golf. Tiger had the Tiger Slam, was spoiled in last year's U.S. Open final. He was then unable to play at the Australian Open to begin this year after being deported from the country. Now, where this is interesting is Djokovic is standing by his non-vaccinated guns as much as any athlete in the world, okay? Because Djokovic is 1 Grand Slam win behind Rafael Nadal. So the easy out would be to say, I'm going to take the vaccine. I'm going to go. He is better than Nadal. I mean, until this, I think he is personally. But yeah, and he's going to go out there and get the record, right? But Amanda, he's not going to do that because of the vaccine. I have different feelings because this is a single sport. I think if you're in a team sport, you do have somewhat of an obligation to make yourself available. And that probably means vaccine, even if you're morally opposed to it. I'll let each person make that decision. But give Djokovic credit. Whatever you think about the vaccine, yay or nay, he's sticking by his guns. It could cost him a spot in history.
Oh yeah, I agree with him, and I like what he's doing because I think that it's time, if the fact that something is forced upon people at this moment is, I feel like, ridiculous, and I think that he's taken a stand. These athletes, they are in charge of their bodies. They make their money off of their bodies. That is what they do. So if he feels like it's something that would cause harm to him, then I totally agree that he shouldn't get it. I mean, that should be a personal decision that's up to individuals rather than pushed on everyone and forced. I feel like if you're gonna, if you want to force that vaccine, you should be able to, deal with the consequences. Like tennis is going to have to deal with the fact that they have somebody who could break history right now and he's not going to play.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of this, when you get an international law, it's whether or not he can get into the country. So it's a bit out of their hands still, though. He is taking a heck of a stand. And then Shohei Ohtani named an all-star pitcher and hitter. I mean, Ethan, we're just at the point where he wins the MVP for the next 10 years, and it's not even close. I mean, if he keeps doing this, I mean, seriously, he's one of the best pitchers and one of the best hitters. He's playing Little League in the majors. Yeah, he's just the best overall athlete, so he does everything. I don't know. I mean, how's he not the MVP? How do you make an argument for just a hitter or just a pitcher?
I think I agree with you. I think for the considerable future, unless maybe they get the Rudy Gobert treatment, where Rudy's the best defensive player in the league by a country mile, wins 3 in a row, and then by the fourth one they're like, we're kind of sick of this Rudy guy, even though he's obviously the best one. It's the only way he doesn't win a couple in a row. Either that or he gets injured. So hey, obviously, but because I agree with you, he's the best athlete in the MLB by a mile and a half. He could have a down year in one or the other, but he's probably going to do pretty well in the other one, so that will kind of carry him. He's incredible to watch. Truly, he's incredible to watch. I mean, I flip an Angels game on just if there's nothing on, just because I like to watch it.
Oh, he's bizarre. And right up there with the 1 in a million type. Amanda is about my age, so she remembers Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders. She rolls her eyes. No, she's not my age. But okay, so Bo Jackson, greatest athlete I've ever seen. As a human being walking the face of this earth, the only guy to play in the Major League Baseball All-Star game and to play in the Pro Bowl. And then you had Deion Sanders, the only player to play in the World Series and then a Super Bowl. So, I mean, who else in the past 50 years is in that type of group? I mean, going way back in the 70s, you had guys like Reggie Jackson who were drafted in 4 different sports, but they didn't pursue them all. Shohei, Bo, Deion.
I mean, the most recent, like, who has played 2 sports at a professional level and didn't do it well either time, is Tim Tebow. That's the most recent I can think of. I mean,
I can't chuck him in that echelon with Bo Jackson, but I agree.
No, not at all. I'm just saying that's the most recent person I can think of that's played 2 sports, but again, in the pros, did not do it well either time. Let's not lie.
The guy I think of, and he didn't play 2 sports, so it already kind of goes against your criteria here. I mean, the just most ridiculous athlete I can think of has to be Russell Westbrook. I mean, just as an athlete, not as a player, but as an athlete, he's a crazy, crazy athlete. That at the very least, I feel like we can agree upon, right?
Yeah, like if he were told at 12 years old your best opportunity is to play football, he would be an all-star wide receiver. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
I think
I
the
agree
Saints are wrong.
100%.
Now, I will say this though, John Morant, being a young guy, is a little bit maybe too confident. Said he would have cooked, using a quote, Michael Jordan if they played against each other.
I have a lot of takes about this. I've already brought up Rudy Gobert once, but I'm going to do it a second time because in the playoffs a year or two ago, Jaw had just like a heat-seeking missile on Rudy Gobert as a rookie, and he was like, "I'm going to dunk on this man," and like you could tell throughout the playoffs, he just kept going at it. Like every single game, once or twice, he'd go for a dunk on Rudy. It did not work. Rudy stopped him every single time, but he just kept going. He's fearless. John Morant is fearless. Do I think he could cook Michael Jordan? Probably not. You put him one-on-one, I don't think it would be as much of a landslide as people think it would be.
Well, I mean, that was the great thing about Jordan. I mean, he wouldn't do any better than Allen Iverson did.
That's
Allen
what I'm
Iverson,
saying. Yeah.
yeah. Allen Iverson crossed up Jordan. It was an amazing highlight. But Jordan, if you go back and look at that play, still almost got the block.
Yeah.
He got beat by the crossover and went back to his left. And for those listening on podcast version, you can't see me, but he reached up and he almost got the block with his left hand. I saw a great interview with Allen Iverson that says Michael Jordan is still the one guy that he gets incredibly nervous around. And then Michael Jordan has to like bring him down. Like, it's just me, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, let's face it. If John Morant does that for the Memphis Grizzlies, if he crosses up Jordan, if he hangs, if he's an all-star, he's had a great career. Is he going to be better than Michael Jordan, Amanda? Nah.
No, stop. Everybody has to stop. Like, just
everybody has to
stop.
be better than Michael Jordan. That's the conversation we constantly have.
No, these kids need to just shut up. Like, literally, just shut up. Like, you're not going to be better than Jordan. You're not better than Jordan. Stop it. Just stop.
I tell you what, if there's one person in the league currently under the age of 25 I would give a chance, it would be Ja. I mean, he's incredible. That dude is
incredible, but Jordan at the same age was just a scorer. Jordan, I mean, he's been in the offseason, would add weight, he would add defensive prowess. So does Ja do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm saying a lot of things right now. I do not think he's going to catch Michael Jordan. I think there are very few human beings to come that will be able to pass Michael Jordan in terms of what he was dominantly. But I mean, John Morant, he's one of the most promising young stars in the league to me, just because he can bounce like a rabbit. I mean, once he really develops a 3-point shot, he's going to be golden.
That was one of Jordan's first steps. I think that was even before the weightlifting because of the Pistons. He developed a 3-point shot, and then like the last step was he developed that elbow fadeaway that he shot over and over, and it was unblockable.
Why do you put that target on your back if you're him? Like,
I don't know.
Why do you talk like that?
I have zero idea why he said that. I thought that was very odd for a young man who seemed like he had a good chip on his shoulder. I wouldn't have thrown that out there, but no, it's fun.
Just wait to prove that if you really think you're going to do it. Don't just come out here and be like, I'm going to be better than Jordan. All right, dude. Cool.
Countdown to the most important Vols for the 2022 season continues, and it's brought to you by our friends at Big Orange Phillies. Big Orange Phillies has the quick bites. You can go there to the fridge and pick something up if you're listening during lunch, or you always can get something hot because their food is great. How about a Philly at Big Orange Phillies right there in downtown Halls on Maynardville Pike? It's very easy to find. They've got darts, karaoke, the whole 9 yards, and it's family friendly. So if you're in Maynardville or North Knoxville, that's a great place to go. Ethan, the countdown continues, and we're getting to the nitty gritty, the most important balls of the 2022 season. Can you give me an update? What do you got rolling on that?
Yeah, we'll be at number 2 today. Hopefully it comes out today. I'm moving today, and we have Lucas Simmons at 1 o'clock, so should be able to come out today. I would expect it, but I mean, at this point, you guys will probably know who it is. It's going to be between Hendon Hooker and Cedric Tillman. I'm not going to tell you who it is, though. You're just going to have to guess.
I could make a strong argument for Cedric Tillman.
I could. As number 2 or number 1?
As number 1.
Number 2 is coming out today, obviously. But yeah, you'll just have to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I could make an argument. I would
You
take
could.
Hooker.
You could
But
make a strong argument for both, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I think Milton has some issues, but evidently the coaches thought he was good enough to start the season, so they don't think he's that far behind Hooker. Now Hooker has playing time, and that makes it all different. All right, poll question, guys. What are we thinking of our poll question today? What do we want to throw out there? I think Tennessee recruiting is probably at the top of the heap, so to speak. But what would you like to throw out there, Ethan?
Does anyone else have anything interesting? I have one that I think is pretty interesting, but
lay it on me, brother.
All right. So, do you think, and obviously this is the question, do you think that recruiting offensively or defensively is more important for Tennessee this cycle?
Is that too easy, Amanda? Because it's probably defense.
I don't think it's going to be defense. I think they're going to say it's going to be offense.
Tennessee's a very offense-heavy team, so I feel like people will say offense, even though I agree defense is more important because of where Tennessee is at right now. But I think a lot of people will say offense because, I mean, if that's your one trick. That's Tennessee's trick right now is they have a fantastic offense that moves very quickly, and they need to get high-caliber players that can kind of run that train there. And if you don't, then, what are we doing this all for?
I have an idea. If we don't.
Oh, now Amanda's toying with it.
I'm not tweaking. I'm not tweaking. What if we did? Who do you think will make the most impact on the field? What Tennessee Vol? And then list four people. Hendon Hooker.
My second one was going to be similar to that, and it was who do you think the most important defensive player for the Vols is this upcoming season?
Well, how about since we were wrapping up your countdown, we just say you take your top four. You don't have to tell us who 2 and 1 are yet.
Yeah.
Okay, but we know it's either Tillman or Hooker. We put Tillman, Hooker, and the 3 and 4, and we can just do 4 on the Twitter, right?
Yeah.
On the Twitter.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So you can put comment for other if you would like. Poll question today brought to you by the Mattress Place. It's not like you're sleeping on a pole. Yeah, it's not like you're sleeping on a pole. You're sleeping on perfect comfort. A mattress from the Mattress Place, and that is 30 to set. Have you ever been on one of those fold-out couches and it feels like there's a bar in your back constantly? I have. Everybody has, haven't they? You don't have that at the Mattress Place. 30 to 70% off every day. Their reviews are absolutely through the roof. They've been there for 22 years on Chapman Highway. They're awesome. 5,000 square foot showroom. Again, 30 to 70% off every day at the Mattress Place. So, guys, the poll question is going to be what 4 players, and then let's all pick. Most important player for Tennessee, and let's take the top 4. I'm just going to go Hooker.
I was about to say we should probably kick Hooker and Tillman off because, I mean, this is pretty obvious here that it's Hooker, right? I mean, people are just going to pick Hendon Hooker. If Hendon Hooker goes down, you revert to what Tennessee football has been the past 15 years, and that's having a decent team but struggling to find anyone with a warm body to lead it at quarterback.
But it is name recognition. I mean, how many fans know other players' names other than them?
I would say a lot. I mean, not like the little smaller ones, but like, for example, Jabari Small, Tyler Barron. I mean, people will recognize those guys.
JL saying something on our feedback machine, saying, let's be honest, UT recruits itself. JL completely 110% agree. I think that Tennessee does recruit itself. I think Jeremy Pruitt and guys like Butch Jones and Derek Dooley. Yeah, that's a whole new type of idiot.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, so that's a bad haircut and
it's a bad dream for Vols fans.
Yeah. So, but I do think Tennessee recruits itself to a large extent. I think the stadium and the fan base. So I think when people got excited about Butch Jones getting a top 25 class, I'm like, that should be the bare minimum. I mean, in the SEC, you're not going to compete with a top 25 class. You're going to struggle to compete with a top 10 class. And right now, Tennessee is at number 5. So More after this, as we're going to get to all kinds of fun stuff, which include this day in sports history. And I just did a little something special. Usually Ethan pulls this out, but I found a neat one over the weekend that makes a reference to a former president.
I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Me too.
Oh, y'all are no fun.
We need to, before we go to the thing, let's finish the poll question.
Oh, yeah. We're
to the thing.
Yeah. So who's listed as the most important player? Let's not do Hendon Hooker. Everyone else is on top because everyone's going to pick Hooker.
Okay, so you're saying Tillman?
I guess Tillman. Yeah. I put Jeremy Banks. Amanda, you have one?
No, I don't have one.
I'll go.
Josh Heupel.
Byron Young and Josh Heupel. That's not bad. What do you think, Dave?
Josh Heupel in there.
What do you think, Dave?
Who is the most important Vol?
I have Jeremy Banks, Cedric Tillman, Byron Young. We need one more.
Just do another.
Other
and comment. Yeah, can you do another and comment? So we'll put that up. So go to Twitter and vote on that. Back in 2 minutes. And wow, where does Tennessee go next? That's what we're going to discuss. The Vols absolutely have several other top prospects, but surprisingly, the boat's getting pretty full for the 2023 class. With Amanda and Ethan, I'm Dave Hooker, Off the Hook Sports.
Folks, Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Dish Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus the complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, where Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
So, guys, as we look forward, Tennessee could pick up another prospect today. Tell us about the young man who's announcing at 1 o'clock. And then, as you pointed out in your coverage over the weekend at offthehooksports.com, Ethan, there are more than one. Remind you to like and subscribe to this podcast if you would like to be entertained by us and get sneak peeks on YouTube. But, Ethan, as far as the guys that could commit in the upcoming days, what do you have for me?
Yeah, pretty decent amount, obviously, with Lucas Simmons is the important one today at 1 o'clock. Like we said earlier on the show, Florida State seems to be a lean right now, but there's no crystal balls. No national director has put any leeway towards one school or the other. So Tennessee's still very much in the thick of things for number 13 overall offensive tackle in the country, number 24 player from Florida, 109 overall nationally, kind of a top-end 4-star guy. I believe Florida and USC are also in the running. I think they're a little further down. It's probably going to be a Tennessee-Florida State thing here. But It's like I said earlier. I'm just going to keep repeating it. I feel like Tennessee has so much momentum on the recruiting trail right now. Tennessee's going to be hard to beat, especially with what they're building, having just gotten a really good offensive lineman in Sam Umarov earlier this week.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember too, Amanda, this is the first real full fiscal year that we've been in this recruiting calendar. So, like I pointed out, guys used to flip all the time between an October commitment and a February signing. I mean, that happened all the time. We really don't know how that's going to shake out now that we have a year under our belt. But it was just about this time, well, it was a little earlier, the transfer portal and early signing period and all that stuff was enacted. Well, early signing period was 2 years ago, but nevertheless, we are seeing for the first time what this is actually going to be, and I do think you'll have some flips for and against Tennessee, for and against Alabama, for and against whoever. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, you just had a flip. Was it this past weekend or maybe it was Friday? I can't remember. But you had a flip from Alabama to Georgia. Like you have flips all the time. You had a flip from, was it Penn State to Florida or Florida to Penn State? I can't remember which way you flopped, whatever. You have those all the time. So I think people really need to. I always wait until National Signing Day, or I know there's 2 now, one in December and one in February. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I always wait until that time to where the ink is dry on the little contract thing or letter of intent. You wait until that point. And now with the transfer portal, I mean, I don't know. After that, they could just transfer out. You never know. So, recruiting is very difficult to follow and put a lot of stock in just because you don't know what these players are doing or thinking. And people flip and flop all the time. They commit, they transfer. I mean, we've seen that everywhere. So recruiting to me, you take with a grain of salt, just in my opinion.
True. Moving forward, of course, Ethan mentioned some guys that are out there looking around. I visited with Josh Ward of WNML about the same thing last night. Conversation with Josh is brought to you by Zool Beer Company. What all is going on at Zool, Amanda? Fantastic stuff. Fantastic beer as well.
Yeah, it's great. We're full of beers right now. We have IPAs, we have sours, we have seltzers. And most people that like ciders don't really understand our seltzers because our seltzers are very heavily fruited. They don't taste like, a Truly or what have you. They're very, very, very good. And we also have abridged the food truck on Fridays and Saturdays, but Fridays during lunch. I don't think a lot of people realize that Zool's open Fridays during lunch, but they are. And so you can come out there, get a burger and a beer for lunch. No one has to know. Head back to work.
There you go. Fantastic place to go. And so you said they had seltzer, not salsa. Seltzer? Salsa?
Seltzers.
Seltzer?
Not salsa. Who has salsa?
Remember Costanza? Brought up, what if you're in a Spanish-speaking country and you want some seltzer and they just bring you salsa because it sounds the same.
I missed that episode.
You and I shared Costanza references over the weekend. You don't remember that one?
Yes. No, I don't remember that one.
Salsa is the most popular condiment. That is worldwide. It's out there.
All right. These pretzels are making me thirsty. That's all I'm saying.
Making me thirsty. Vandalay Industries. Yeah, so I think we're going to see some flipping and flopping. I think that's going to be just part of it. Okay, now it's time for this day in sports history. I know Ethan has been manning the wire to find this day in sports history. It's brought to you today by Craft Treats. Go check out their chill pills. They are phenomenally awesome for your pet. My pets love them. On July the 4th, they've got full spectrum CBD treats, so they contain minor cannabinoids that increase the benefits of CBD. Great for situational anxiety, things like storm anxiety, car ride anxiety, or Amanda just being mean anxiety. So when Amanda's in a bad mood, she gives her dog Ava which is a very beautiful, puntable little animal.
I will kill you.
She gives it chill pills when she comes home in a bad mood. That's what
I
I'm
don't.
told.
I will never be in a bad mood towards my dog. She does nothing wrong. It's humans.
It's
other
a she.
humans. That's what I said.
Isn't it a she?
She does.
Oh,
she
okay.
does nothing wrong. Yes,
Okay.
her name is Ava. Clearly, she's a she.
To me, all cats are female and all dogs are male. I don't know why I say that, but I always. Is that not strange, Ethan?
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I was
I don't
5
agree.
years old. I was 5 years old, and I realized that was wrong, and I stuck with it for another 43. I have no idea. Okay, so this day in sports history, Ethan, what do you got for us? And then I've got a clip that I think you're going to find incredibly entertaining. So, what do you got this day in sports history?
Or didn't you say you had one? Is that what you're alluding
Well,
to?
I have one, but
Okay,
you know, there's all kinds of fun stuff that
I
happened
have
this day.
one.
I have one as well. Here, Amanda, you
Okay.
go first since I stole
Let's
yours
go
last time.
full scale competition here.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so mine I am going to do in 1985. Is this the one you were going to take, Ethan?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Nolan Ryan was the first to strike out 4,000.
Wow.
This day in 1985.
Pretty good.
That's a pretty good one.
I was not alive then. But that's
I think
okay.
he threw 100. I think he threw 148 pitches in a game. Can you imagine that, Ethan? Nowadays,
Surprising. Nolan Ryan is incredible. That's my dad's idol. Is Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat. All right, what else we got on this day in sports history before we get to my super clip on this day in sports history?
Yeah, so 1914. This is very much before I was alive. Playing off what Amanda said. Babe Ruth made his MLB debut as a pitcher for the Red Sox. Won 4-3 against the Cleveland Naps. That's a name.
Yeah.
Cleveland Naps in Finland.
Nothing in Cleveland is great.
We mentioned Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is better than Babe Ruth.
I mean, yeah, I agree.
Whoa.
I know. Babe Ruth.
I really hate to say to keep up with the Babe Ruth slander, but he played in such an easy era. Let's be honest here.
Well, I mean,
everybody
he was fantastic in that era, but I mean, guys, I feel like most MLB players today would smoke Babe Ruth. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I agree with that, but just if we take it even just in terms of the competition, Amanda, he was never a great pitcher and a great hitter at the same time.
Yeah.
He was a great pitcher and then transitioned and a great hitter. There's never been anybody do what Shohei Ohtani is.
So you're saying that he learned and could grow at an older age?
Or maybe he was just drunk and decided to move to hitter.
Maybe he was drunk, but if he could play like that, if he was drunk, then imagine what he could do if he wasn't.
I mean, Ruth is a legend and obviously insanely important to the game, but
Yes.
I feel like I truly feel like we're kidding ourselves if we don't think any MLB player today could out-hit him. It's the same argument as an NBA player could beat just about anybody from the 1950s except for Bill Russell.
Well, evolution will do that. I mean, we're evolving to be bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, right. But I'm just talking about within his own time frame. Yes, athletes are at a higher performance level now. They didn't have to go be a carpenter in the off season. So that was a big factor. We have better nutrition. But I mean, if you just look at it, regardless of time span, when it's all said and done, unless something happens to Shohei Ohtani, he's going to be up there as one of the top home run hitters of all time, and he's going to be one of the top pitchers of his generation, and probably could have been even more elite had he just focused on one. I mean, it's just it's really bizarre to me. Okay, the one I had involved Bo Jackson, who we mentioned earlier, and Ronald Reagan.
I did not think that was the one you were going with.
So how did I pull that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't think it was either.
Back when sports were just fun and we weren't doing protests and stuff, which have their place, I understand. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But back before that, sports were just fun. And the president would just meander into the press box. That's the way things. Can you imagine that nowadays? or especially, I
don't
would
know
have,
if our president could find
despite where
his
you
thoughts.
stand politically, who wouldn't have enjoyed watching Donald Trump sit in for like a quarter of a college football game? I would have watched
He
that.
did.
He did.
Did
He
he?
did. He went to Alabama. He
Bama-
went to an Alabama game.
But
it
he
was
was
Bama
actually-
and Clemson, I think. I could be wrong. but
He was in the booth doing
Mhm.
commentary. Oh.
No, he wasn't doing commentary. He was
yeah, I
just
thought you.
there.
Well,
Okay,
Yeah,
I get
because
I thought you meant-
he was too afraid of his public image, like every politician and public person is now. Well, back in the day, you would just have. So Ronald Reagan went to some pretty incredible sporting events. He was at the first nationally televised Daytona 500 in 1980. And that was the one that resulted in mayhem in the midfield, where Kel Yarbrough and I can't remember his other name. I just decided to pull over on the last lap and get in a fight.
Are you talking about Richard Petty?
Petty won because those two
Okay.
decided to wreck each other on the last lap and pull over in the infield and get in a fight.
Oh,
That-
who was it? Kilbrough and
Google while
well,
we're
now
listening.
I do. I have
Okay,
to.
so
I
Ronald
have to.
Reagan steps in for the All-Star game. And who steps up to bat? Another guy, you might know his name. It happens to be Bo Jackson. So here is what happened. And I love how Reagan just kind of goes in and out of the game. It's almost like he's got some sort of economic development law that he wants to pass. But at the same time, he goes, yes, you were going to say, Ethan. But he goes
I know who it
back to
is, Amanda. If you want to, do you know who it is?
Yes, Donnie Allison.
Yep, there we go. I was just about to say.
Yeah. They just stopped in the middle and said, let's pull over and fight each other. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. The finish line's right there. To hell with that. I'm going to fight you.
Well, you're wrecked now. What are you going to do? Run to the finish line?
It's happened in Talladega Nights. It happened. And then they made
Okay.
out. So maybe things would have ended up a lot better.
That is
for
very
Kel and Donnie.
awkward. And no.
No making out at the finish line. Okay, so here we go.
Donnie
Here is-
Allison died in a helicopter crash.
He did, and his
So
other
sad.
brother Clifford died in a car wreck, and I interviewed both of their fathers, Davey Allison, about that, and that was a tough one. But here is, on a lighter note, thanks for bringing us down, Amanda. Here's Ronald Reagan just stepping into the press box, and Bo Jackson delivers in the All-Star game.
Bo Jackson comes up. We talked about Ozzie Smith and you wearing a Cardinal uniform. And Jackson wears baseball and football, and you did football.
Yes, I played the Gipper, but I also played for real in a much earlier time. But that Bo down there, that's a pretty interesting hobby he has for his vacation. When baseball ends, he winds up playing football. I don't know if there's ever been anyone doing it. Hey.
He's remarkable, and look at that one. Bo Jackson says hello.
Now, for those of you that may not know, that was like the 550-foot shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, you guys saw it on video, and you can always check us out on video if you would like, if you're listening in the audio form. But that ball went a long, long way to deep center. And it was funny because, I don't know, just even if you were a Democrat at the time, didn't you have to love Ronald Reagan?
I mean, Ronald Reagan. I love him now.
I mean, he's so very likable. That's quite a summer vacation that Bo Jackson has, and he plays football. Yeah.
It was Davey Allison, by the way, that died, not Donnie. Davey.
Great. All right. Well, we'll stop killing.
But I love
people.
Ronald Reagan, just FYI.
I mean, he was so likable, I mean, it was, but Bo Jackson, again, we talk about some of the greatest athletes in the history of mankind. It is bizarre to me, Ethan, that I still have that take. And this is not a nostalgic take, but I still, to this day, have that take. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen walk the face of the earth. That is not a me just sticking by my guns. I've not seen another one. I don't know how much clips you saw. You're a lot younger than me, but I don't know of anybody else that's even in that category of Bo Jackson.
I didn't even see him play, and Bo Jackson is my answer to that question too. When people ask, it's Bo Jackson. I mean, he's incredible. Look at what just happened there, and then that guy won a Pro Bowl, went to the Pro Bowl as well. Amazing running back, and you got him hitting 550-foot bombs with Ronald Reagan commentating.
Yeah, isn't it bizarre to you, Amanda, that with all the improvement in sports performance and medicine and all that good stuff, that we haven't heard of another athlete that we could at least make an argument was as good as Bo? I mean,
not really. Well, the reason
maybe not.
No, not really. The reason being is, I think even back then, even then, it wasn't all about, you weren't doing one sport all the time, like nonstop. And there was no social media either. So let's be honest, that takes up a lot of these players' time. They're always on social media. But also, you were free to do more than just the one sport. I feel like now, if you commit to, football, then you're football. That's your entire life. Like, you're not going outside of that and playing, baseball as well. You're just football. That's all you're focusing on. You do it around the clock, around like 365 days a year. Like, you really do. You're not going between sports now because there's too much money in football, or too much money in the MLB to share players. They're just not going to do it.
So I mentioned earlier, Zool Beer Company brings you Josh Ward's appearance. I visited with Josh last night, and you can see the complete video on offthehooksports.com, or go to YouTube. Please like and subscribe to this video or that video. We'll continue to provide you Tennessee coverage. But here is Josh Ward. Where do the Vols go next after a big Sunday in recruiting?
Bradley and Herring are going to stand out in the rankings, and I promise they stood out very high on the board of Tennessee's coaches. And I've brought that up a couple of times now, but remember that who the coaches prioritize. Bradley was one of the guys that the coaches have said, hey, if we can get this guy, if we can get Caleb Herring, which I think they knew they probably would and did early in the process, that could change this class. So Bradley's a very talented player, but he's at a position where this defense just needs more edge rushers. They need more guys that can go get the quarterback, because this defense will have pressure put on it by the way the offense plays. If the defense can apply pressure, take the ball away, ultimately in Josh Heupel's system, that's what's going to give Tennessee the best chance to succeed.
I'm not comparing the two 5-stars, okay? So Nico and Bradley, I'm not comparing them. But I will say this. I think there are a lot of quarterbacks who could step in Josh Heupel's system with the way the play calls come from the sideline. It's not like Peyton Manning's freeze play days. I think there are a lot of quarterbacks that could step in and have success across the country. Again, I'm not denying that Nico's had a positive impact on this class. However, when you look at Bradley, if there's upside there that he can be a defensive end / linebacker that can really rush the passer, then that can have an impact. And I'm going to stand by that. I think that Bradley, if he's the best defensive end in the SEC, that he will have a bigger impact than Nico. Now, that's a big if, because I think there are about 10, 15 quarterbacks who could step in Ethan and run Heupel's offense. I don't mean that to sound a slight to Nico at all.
There probably are. It's just growing up around Tennessee athletics and seeing what Tennessee has put at quarterback in these past couple of years. I mean, Josh Dobbs and Hooker are the only decent ones in a while. And so just even though I know Heupel's offense is different, he continually has churned out very good quarterbacks. Sam Bradford, obviously. I could keep going on the list. I'm not even going to bother. But, he's getting all these solid quarterbacks, and he has a track record of it. But Tennessee also has a track record of just not being able to get good talent at quarterback. So while I do agree with you, it's a little hard to say that Bradley would be a more important addition than Nico, or vice versa, any 5-star end versus any 5-star quarterback, I will always go with the quarterback just because that's the guy that runs the offense. If you don't have a good 5-star quarterback, your team is going to a good quarterback, your team is going to be bad. If you don't have a 5-star edge, I feel like your team could still play around.
I think Tennessee's been pretty good at quarterback, with the exception of the last 10 years.
Yeah, obviously. If you go way further back than that, they have, but it's been a while since that point.
Yeah, but I don't think that's necessarily the quarterbacks that we're talking about. I think it's just the transition of not even head coaches, but offensive coordinators, just in and out. Like Garantano, he had to deal with a lot of that. So I think that the quarterbacks weren't developed properly underneath all of that transitioning when it comes to the coaching staff. I don't think it's necessarily the quarterback's fault per se. I think that it was a coaching problem from the start.
Along Amanda's point, if Tyler Bray shows up and he has a Josh Heupel and the environment's great and everybody gets along, then I think Tyler Bray is a significantly better quarterback. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks, when I say better, 8-10 in the nation. But I think with his arm strength, with his ability, I thought he had very underrated pocket presence, to the ability to shuffle and move in the pocket. I think he would have been, I'll go ahead and say it, I think he would have been a Heisman candidate. I mean, I think Hendon Hooker's a Heisman candidate going into year 2. He's a candidate. Doesn't mean he's going to win it, but he's a candidate.
Well, we'll get there. But remember, when Josh Dobbs was at UT, a lot of people did not like Josh Dobbs. They didn't want him to start. There was a constant battle between UT fans, Josh Dobbs, and that other blonde-headed kid. I don't remember his name. But there's a constant battle between them, and a lot of people did not like Dobbs. He never started games very well. He would come in and finish games like crazy, but starting, he wasn't great. And then he went and has made it. I don't know if he's still in the NFL, but he was a solid backup for the Steelers for a while.
I think he
so
still
that
is
tells,
at the moment.
that tells me that it's more coaching than it is the talent that you get.
Yeah, I'll take the Jimmies and Joes, but the X's and O's are significant. And also the culture. I mean, Tyler Bray came into a place where it was okay to do stupid stuff on a wave runner and throw beer bottles at cars, and you just kind of got away with it. Ha ha ha. You know, that
dumbest thing.
I mean, that's either covered up a lot better. And I will say this again. I've said this publicly more times than I can count. You guys can tell me to stop. I heard bad things about Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, Jeremy Pruitt within a month into their tenure at Tennessee. Not a month into their season, a month into their tenure. At one point, one of those coaches went outside his office and fired a spackler because he wasn't spackling the drywall correctly. That was 3 days in. You've got more important things to spend your time on if you're the Tennessee football coach than spackling. Okay?
Well,
so go ahead.
At least you didn't get, not
$10
off
haircut.
the hook. The off the hook stuff, we'll just tie that name into it. A bunch of those for your players within a month into your tenure and get fired like Mike Price did, just FYI. So could have been worse.
Speaking of, that's true. Who is on or off the hook? Brought to you by Owl's Nest Barbecue. Go to Owl's Nest Barbecue for all of your fantastic barbecue needs. Pellets, they've got the wood chips, they've got the sauce, the rubs. It's all there at Owl's Nest Barbecue. And right next door is Midnight Oil. They took care of my son's Jeep over the weekend or last week, and they will do a fantastic job on your vehicle as well. That's Steve Ray's Midnight Oil there in Ottawa. On or off the hook?
On or off the hook? Who's to blame?
Unleash the fury!
It has to be someone's fault. On or off the hook? Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
So on the hook is a commitment at 1 o'clock today. Ethan, we began the show talking about it, but let's end the show talking about it. Potentially a huge pickup for Tennessee that we think is going to Florida State, but you never know. Tennessee, I've been told, has made a strong push.
Yeah, it's hard. I've said it a couple times already. It's a Florida State lean, so it's. I'll just keep saying the same stuff I have the entire time. I feel like Tennessee's momentum is doing really well right now for Simmons, so I'd say it's 50-50 right about now. And why not? Let's do on the hook and say Tennessee's going to get him.
Okay. I'm going to go 60-40 no. But I don't think that this is one of those I don't think's over. I think we'll be having a conversation about Elijah Simmons in November. I really do. Because I'm not a believer really in Florida State and what they're going to do this year. And I think that Tennessee wins 9 games. So suddenly you're looking at a much sexier program. Amanda, we'll see what happens. But I just don't think these battles are over yet.
They're never over, especially not with NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff. They're never over. But I'm going to go with Ethan on this one. Because if you're Florida State, you're sitting there, or if you're a recruit, you're sitting there and you're looking at Miami and all the talent they're piling on down there, and you're going, maybe not. Maybe not want to go against them every year. Maybe I'll just take my talents to the SEC, which I understand. The SEC is far more dominant as far as talent goes and all of that, but you're still looking at Miami going, no thanks.
Yeah. We remind you to like and subscribe for the best Tennessee coverage that is out there, and you'll get sneak peeks on YouTube when you subscribe. We had a couple of people over the weekend that got to see some coverage that wasn't even up yet, and we'll have several things today. So like and subscribe. And this day in sports history, just out of left field, on 2014, June the 11th, LeBron James announced via Sports Illustrated that he is coming home to Cleveland.
I'm so tired of him.
I know. He learned a little lesson from I'm taking my talents to South Beach. And I went back and watched the video for some reason over the weekend where he goes, not one. And there's some, I don't know if he's a media guy or no reporter would ask a question like this that could look himself in the mirror. But he goes, you're obviously coming here not to win one championship. And not 2. Yeah. And then LeBron kind of takes over, not 3, not 4. And I'm like, I'm watching the video and I've seen it 10 years ago. Please just stop. Please stop.
It's so cringe.
He goes, not 5. I'm like, okay.
Just stop
leave it there.
It is so cringe.
Not 6. That turned out to be 1.
You're right, not 6, LeBron. You're right.
Yeah, you were right on not 2, not 3,
definitely not 6.
Yeah,
I can't
City
stand
Heating
it.
Air. That's integrity. City Heating and Air Conditioning provided East Tennesseans with honest, dependable heating and cooling service for 50 years. Pretty strong. Have a fantastic day, everyone. We're streaming now, so we'll talk to you at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow. Please set your reminders, or all you got to do is subscribe and like us on YouTube, and you'll know when we are there. So more recruiting news today on the site today. We'll also have some evals of some of the prospects that Tennessee has picked up recently. We'll also have a continued countdown on offthehooksports.com of the most important ball of the upcoming season, and Elijah Simmons set to go at 1 o'clock. So we'll have coverage of that. For Amanda, LaFratta, and Ethan Stone, I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of